How you doing, everybody? This is ShoTTa here. I'm gonna do a little bit of a review on the SG533 in Battlefield 4. This is a really cool gun that I've always liked from Battlefield 3, and I've started using in Battlefield 4 with my Recon class playing aggressive. And I'm finding that playing aggressive with this carbine, it's a lot of fun. I do use its suppress in the game along with the 93R suppressed with a laser and a nice sight, and I'm finding that it's really good to use for games like TDM or Domination, where you're constantly being either spawned behind, flanked from different angles, and a lot smaller maps. You're off the mini-map, and that plays a really big role when there's a lot of players around you, or if you've just downed an enemy player and maybe somebody else has spawned on him. They don't have the advantage of checking their minimap and seeing you on it unless you've been spot. Now let's get into the overall stats of this weapon. The max damage is 25, minimum damage 15.4, drop off start is 8 meters, drop off end 50 meters, fire rate is 830 rounds per minute, the fire rate on burst is 830 rounds per minute, the muzzle velocity 430, muzzle velocity with a suppressor, which this is a very important stat, is 280. So you can see how much it has dropped from 430 to 280. Now the bullet drop is 15, mag size is 31. And if you'd like to read the rest of the stats on this weapon, I'm going to leave a link in the bottom of the comment or the about section, and you can check out this link, SynTech. Very good link for comparing guns, setting up your weapons, and kind of getting an idea of comparisons between different carbines and which attachments will work better. They've got damage charts, damage over distance charts, time to kill charts, and it's a really great link for players who really want to set up their weapon, kind of specialize for different things in the game, or how complement your playstyle. Now back to the gameplay. In this gameplay I'm playing Recon. I'm running with sensor balls and a Tugs. I've got as my secondary a Magnum. At times I will change from the 93R suppress. Lately I've been using the Magnum. I'm liking the skill that it takes to use this weapon. It's really a lot slower fire than say 93Rs or any of the other handguns, but it has a lot of damage, and that's what I'm liking. So far I think I've unlocked the flashlight for it, and I think I've unlocked the ghost ring for it, and as I unlock more for this weapon, it tends to get a little bit easier. If you are a good shot and you can aim, one shot headshot will kill any player, and it works really great. Now back to this weapon and the gameplay. I'm finding that using the SG533, when you start off it was really difficult, but as I got unlocks for this weapon it became easier, and I'm finding that every gun in this game kind of works the same way. When you start off with a weapon you may not like it, you have to learn how to handle the recoil, the iron sights, things like that will make it very difficult, but as you get unlocks for a weapon you tend to find that that weapon has a lot of good attributes, and that weapon can really turn out to be a great weapon. And that's what I found with the SG533. As I've gotten more unlocks, I run with it ergo grip, suppressor, green laser, and the gun is really great. I'm able to get behind enemy lines, stay off the minimap, fire on the move, and I've got a great hip fire. And the green laser doesn't give you up as much as say the red laser would. Also the complement with the Recon using the sensor balls, I have the advantage of throwing sensor balls in each direction and kind of getting an idea of where the enemy players are. If I move onto a flag, I can throw sensor balls to see if there's anybody camping any areas or specific areas that people would camp on maps. In a game mode like Domination, you're constantly being flanked. People are spawning behind you. Sometimes your own teammates are not watching the minimap or not paying attention to where players are coming from. So using these sensor balls along with the Tugs is very important. It's almost like having eyes behind your back or eyes at the side so you can see what's going on. And this is how I decided to play Domination, was an aggressive style Recon, suppressed, silent, and deadly, and it really worked out. There were a few games where it was difficult at first, and Once I unlocked the Chinese sight, which I really like, I had that wider view, and I could, I felt like it was a lot better than aiming than the normal red dot sight. Another thing while using a suppressor that players have to remember is when you are leading a player, or when an enemy player is running across the screen and you're shooting at them, you'll have to lead a lot more because the muzzle velocity is slower. So the rounds are going to take a little bit less time to get to that player, whereas if you didn't have the suppressor, you wouldn't lead as much. So remember that when using a suppressor, you will have to lead a lot more. Also, another important thing when using a suppressor, you want to make sure that you do not stay around players that aren't using a suppressor, because your suppressor now becomes pointless. If they see the other players shooting on the minimap and you're standing close to them, they're going to know you're there too. So what I do is I try to play off my players, play around the map, move around the objectives, get an idea of what's going on with the sensor balls, move them from the back, and kind of take them out. It's really smart way to play when using the suppressor. These tactics I've watched Level Captive, these kind of things, Rival X Factor for example, Jack Frags, and all these guys are great players, and you can see when using a suppressor in that fashion, you really catch players off guard. And a perfect example of this was last night I was playing a game with my clanmates on Operation Locker. Now we flanked from the right. I think 3 of us were using suppressors, and the guys that flanked with the suppressors were staying together, and we were able to flank the middle where everybody just bottlenecks on rush and take out at least 6-7 players a squad. I took out 4 myself. My other clan member, I think he took out another 3 or 4, and one of the randoms on our team took out another 3 or 4. So we literally cleared out the middle area where they bottleneck, and this was just using suppressors and running with a squad of guys with suppressors. So just remember, the key to using a suppressor is do not stay around players that are not using the suppressor. It will just ruin the element of surprise and it becomes pointless. You want to play off players and kind of flank and move in from behind. Now, there's examples of this gameplay where I do shoot at long distance with the suppressor, and you can see it's still, you know, if you aim a little bit higher just for your bullet drop, which is a little bit more while using the suppressor, you can really get some good kills, and there's a perfect example of one right there. Also, something else I struggle with personally is hip firing. I have a habit of always aiming down sights, whether a player is 10 or 5 meters in front of me, I'll aim down sights. It's just kind of like the habit of reloading after I shoot a player. It's one of those things I have to break. So what I do is I put on a 3.4 scope with a laser, and it will force me, because the zoom will be so much with the 3.4 at close, I will hip fire, and that's how I'm kind of trying to break my habit. So for those players that maybe have trouble with that, always aiming down sights, because you will lose against a player up close if they hip fire and you aim down sights. They have that extra second, and it's happened to me countless times where I've shot a guy aim down sights, he has 1 health and I'm dead, and it's so frustrating. So try to hip fire. I mean, anywhere from 5 to 10 meters, if you can hip fire, you save yourself that extra second and you might actually win that gunfight. Also, another thing, play your angles. Angles are very important, guys. Always play your angles. Try not to go directly on a flag or walk straight on a flag. You know, play your angles, move up slowly, and spot. Key, spot. If you're playing Recon, please spot. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope the tips and everything about the SG533 were helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield, yo. Peace out.